All right, so just recently, the Senate Democrats have sent a letter to Senator or to Commissioner Scott Gottlieb with the FDA, requesting him to take a second look at what he had done last Friday when he wanted to, thank God, extend the PMTA process and make it easier for juice companies and the entire industry to innovate and continue to stay in business by saying, hey, we're not going to really be enforcing this for a while. We're going to give you guys some time. Well, this letter is it's kind of gross. All right. So essentially, I'm going to read this to you, and I'm going to kind of comment on what they're saying, and the amount of lying, the amount of just blatant disregard for the facts and the truth. It's to the point where you don't know where this is all coming from and how they even come up with this stuff, because it's not based in reality. And I just can't help but think that they are either getting together in some, dungeon room where they're coming up with these lies, or they are just dumb enough to read whatever the first thing is that agrees with what their opinion is. And so I can't tell which one's which. I don't know which one's worse. I don't think one is not worse than the other. But just listen to this first sentence. So, we write with concern regarding the Food and Drug Administration's recent tobacco regulatory announcements, specifically its plans on delaying implementation under the 2016 deeming rule. There's no reason for the agency to delay oversight of newly regulated. There's no reason, including electronic cigarettes and cigars that contain kid-appealing flavors. Oh, you mean the flavors that adults like too? You mean like cherry and, Fruit Loops and all those cereals that you loved as a kid? Those not that they're adult appealing in any way, but just the kid appealing ones, like all of them. They're actively marketed to children. How can we actively market to children when we can't do any type of Facebook ads? We can't do any YouTube ads. We can't do any commercials. We can't even say that it might help you quit smoking. So what active marketing are they talking about? They're not talking about anything. They're just using buzzwords that they've heard from somewhere just to, whatever it is, put their agenda forward. So furthermore, while we are encouraged by the components of the new tobacco plan, which means they support the bullshit regulations that could lead to reduced nicotine levels in cigarettes, which is a good thing for vaping, actually, we are troubled by the potentially prolonged time frame to implement such measures. So they can't regulate it fast enough. That's basically what they're complaining about. Many of us wrote you in May urging you to steadfastly implement the FDA's deeming rule, which, for the first time ever, enacted oversight over e-cigarettes, cigars, and other tobacco products. Again, grouping those together as if they're the same thing. Helping to protect public health and prevent tobacco use by young people. That is not the reason of those oversights, and to put those two together is very irresponsible. They'll just say anything. It doesn't matter at this point. Instead, last week's announcement indicates that you intend to delay implementation of key provisions of the deeming rule, giving e-cigarette and cigar manufacturers, including flavored products, a free pass to stay on the market for years with minimal oversight and restrictions. This is a step backwards and contradicts years of data demonstrating the danger of these products pose to public health. Step backwards for who? Step backwards for the businesses? Yes, it's a step backwards, because the market has spoken and they have chosen the e-cigarettes. And so these regulations are a step backward for progress. So if that's what you mean, then I agree with you. Unfortunately, that's not what you mean. It contradicts years of data demonstrating the danger these products pose to public health. So you mean by saying, so now you're saying that there is years of data saying that e-cigarettes are bad. That's not true, but you'll say it when it's convenient and you will ignore it when it's not. There is not years of data, and there never will be if you continue down this path. Moving along, we are deeply concerned by delaying deeming rule compliance deadlines for product review of e-cigarettes, cigars, hookahs, and pipe tobacco, again grouping them together as if they're the same thing. The FDA is failing in its commitment to safeguard public health. especially for children. There we go with the kids again. The 2016 Surgeon General report on e-cigarettes found that e-cigarettes are marketed by promoting flavors that appeal to youth and adults, including candy and fruit flavorings, which adults and grown-ass men like too. And that such marketing has resulted in increased use of tobacco products among children and teens. When the FDA extended its regulatory authority to e-cigarettes and cigars, it specifically acknowledged the harms posed to youth by flavored tobacco products. Yet, FDA's recent announcement allows flavored products that are clearly targeted to youth to remain on the market until 2022, and does not address the fact that parents have zero, responsibility in helping their kids stop smoking. Oh, they left that part out. Okay. We are also concerned that last week's announcement indicates that your agency plans to re-examine the provisions of the deeming rule pertaining to common sense oversight of certain cigars. The FDA already determined that there is no appropriate public health justification to exclude premium cigars from FDA oversight. Well, we don't really care about cigars, even though I wouldn't really want those to be regulated either. While we have serious concerns about the FDA's announcement as it pertains to newly regulated tobacco products, we are encouraged by the agency's plans to examine lowering nicotine levels in cigarettes, which will help vaping because people aren't getting enough nicotine. So you haven't thought this one through very well, have you? As you stated in the announcement, tobacco is the only legal consumer product that, when used as intended, will kill half of all long-term users, and that when vaping is used as intended, it will save half those people that were used to be smoking. Oh, you left that part out either also. Oh my gosh. So this is what I thought was the funniest part about this entire document. This is actually how they ended with the paragraph that should have begun the document. Well, while we saw a reduction in overall youth tobacco use and e-cigarette use last year, even though that's not what we just said, there are still far too many young people using tobacco products. Okay. Our nation is at a critical juncture and continuing to make progress against the harm caused by tobacco, not by e-cigarettes. Now is not the time to abandon effective tobacco oversight policy. So what are you saying? Are you saying that, it's gonna increase even though it's been decreasing? We have this feeling that it's gonna increase even though we just admitted that it's been decreasing. That's what they're saying. So they'll basically lie and they'll basically say whatever it takes. I still haven't figured out what their agenda is. It's not helping people. That's not it. They're not trying to make science. They're not making science. They are just kind of waking up this morning and saying, it just doesn't feel right. I don't know. I just don't like it. And, it makes sense if you don't think about it. That's basically their policy. It makes sense when you don't think about it. Just to publicly shame all these people that are lying to you: Patty Murray, Jeffrey Merkley, Richard Durbin, Dianne Feinstein, not a surprise there, Jack Reed, Sherrod Brown, Sheldon Whitehouse, Tom Udall, Al Franken. Apparently, the legislation isn't good enough, isn't smart enough, and doggone it, people just don't like it. Richard Blumenthal, Elizabeth Warren. I'm sorry to see her name there. I am a supporter still, but my God, I don't think she's thinking this one through. Edward J. Merkley and Chris Van Hollen. So if any of those are your senators, feel free to write them a letter and let me know what you thought of this video. I had to put it together after I saw the tweet from Paul Blair, who basically introduced this to me. So thanks for tweeting that out. And if you like the video, subscribe, like, share it, and share this with anybody who is involved in advocacy, because these things that they're saying in the document are the arguments that they make in other areas. And so if you know what they're trying to say, you can be prepared to counteract the arguments when you hear them. So hope you like the video. Thanks for sharing.